We are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Desert Farmer Podcast, episode 30. Hey, this is a landmark episode. That's like a real adult when you're 30. You can't say, I'm in my 20s.
I got my first tattoo when I turned 30.
Well, there you go. Details about Lori already. Thanks for sharing the personal stuff.
I was trying to think like 30, like when I turned 30. And I'm like, oh, that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Me and my son went and got our first tattoos.
You guys did, yep. So just want to thank you guys for joining us today. We have a new format we're going to try to work on here with you guys. Going to try to make sure that it stays fresh for everybody and we can get engaged with you guys a little bit better. So we're going to kind of go through an agenda today. But before we do that, a couple housekeeping notes. First one is, you guys know we're here today to make sure we can answer as many of your questions as possible. So Lori's going to be down here with you guys in the chat. So she's going to be saying hi and seeing what you guys are talking about. But if you have a question for us, how do you make sure that we hear your question?
In your post, write question, preferably in all caps, and then state your question.
Yes.
So then those kind of are highlighted on the feed there, and we can pull those out.
You got it. So that's housekeeping number one. Housekeeping number two, please give us a thumbs up, because that helps us not only today as we're streaming to get more guys here and engaged, it also helps us as you guys are seeing this in the future to make sure that folks can get out there and see this. So, because it applies to, well, everybody who cares about the desert and farming. Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and get started with the agenda. So I know what is going to be the first agenda item for us here on the podcast.
So we're going to try something new, and what we did is did like sections that we're going to try to follow instead of just it being all questions and answers.
Right.
So the first one is kind of like a highlight for the week for us. And
we have
this week.
So this one's technically from last weekend, but we're going to call it this week because it still kind of is encompassed in the week. So this one was a consultation that we did last weekend. For you guys that don't know, we do consultations for folks here in Arizona. It's got to be within, about an hour driving distance of the farm. But we do on-site consultations and we do remote consultations for anybody around the world. And this one was an on-site consultation, and this one was here in Whitman. So always love those short commutes.
Yes.
It's fantastic.
Like 10 minutes.
Exactly. So we spent the morning with Elise and Mike, and we went over their brand new property here in Whitman. And it was a little bit different. Typically, when we're doing consultations, it's usually fruit trees, right?
Yeah.
So it's homesteading. There's homesteading topics that we discuss, but typically we're talking about fruit trees. A lot of times that is the primary focus of the consultation. In this case, it wasn't. So this one was actually more specifically livestock. It was livestock focused, and we were dealing with a blank slate. So there was absolutely nothing there. A little bit of an awkward yard. So they've got a completely fenced in. So it's a block fence, which is really nice. Completely fenced in for them. And I'd say they probably have a good 1/2 acre to 3/4 of an acre, give or take, of space behind the house that's basically behind this wall. And again, a little bit of an odd shape, but what was nice about it is it was completely blank and it was almost perfectly flat. There was very few contours. So whenever we're working with a blank slate, it's always really exciting. One of the things that they wanted to focus on was meat production, which we're fans of.
And the reason is because they're carnivore.
Correct. Well, I think, is Elise carnivore? I know Mike is.
I guess he is fully, and she's kind of.
Right. So, and we're keto, so we're heading towards that too. But well, I guess we're not heading towards that, but we're a good portion of the way there.
Yeah,
so,
we won't go carnivore.
No. So that was nice because we were on the same page there. And obviously, fruit trees for the most part was out. But as we were talking about kind of how they might lay out their pasture, so kind of a small pasture for the livestock, and they're going to have pens, and their focus, they can't have pigs because they have an HOA. You guys know how much I love HOAs. One of my favorite things, because it's just, well, I don't need to go down that road, but let's just say they're really frustrating. And in this case, They're not able to do pigs, which is pretty common. I haven't seen an HOA yet that has allowed that. And of course, there's a bunch of them that don't even allow chickens. But anyways, they can do chickens, and they can do sheep and goats, also turkeys. So we were focused on poultry, sheep, and potentially goats, but it was predominantly poultry and sheep. It's going to be broiler chickens, laying hens, and sheep. So I kind of talked a little bit about how they might lay that out, how they might do some pins, make sure that we keep them safe. And then, of course, we did get some fruit trees in there still, right?
Yeah.
And I think the biggest thing was probably, well, we talked about mulberries because that is also a fodder tree. So that was one of the things we wanted to consider was how can we get fodder from these trees, so even if we're not necessarily doing the fruit, can share and or sell the fruit, and they have the fodder there for their animals.
Shade
and shade as well. And then of course with the berries, your birds are going to eat that. So your chickens will eat that and help you out with the berries. So we did that, and I think we had a really good game plan by the time we were done for that space. And I think no matter what they do, they're going to have a beautiful little homestead.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when it's all said
really
and
cool.
done.
I'm excited for them.
Yeah, it's going to be really cool. And it looks like they're going to try to get started right away. And that's the great part about livestock.
She's on it.
Yeah, is, within 6 months you can get eggs. Broiler chickens only take 8 weeks. So, you can do it pretty quick. And if you can find older poults, you can even get eggs within 2 to 3 months. If you can find older ones, maybe even less. So a lot of really good production on a small space. And I'll tell you, they're going to get hundreds of pounds of meat off of that little farm and be able to feed. If nothing else, they won't be buying meat from the grocery store, which we haven't done for years. So I can appreciate that.
Yes.
So great little consultation. Again, loved having them so close. That was great. And then we got a couple friends here in Whitman.
Yeah.
That's always good.
Exactly.
So what's next on the agenda?
So it
Next
is
topic.
So the next thing we wanted to do, and hopefully we can do it every week, we wanted to kind of highlight an item of the week, whether it's something new that we got or it's something that we really like that is really helpful for us. And this week it's something new, and most of the time it's from Amazon.
Usually it's from Amazon. We usually have it in our Amazon shop.
Buy Amazon all the time.
Maybe not always. And so, here, I get to fix this already. But so one of the things about this time of year is we focus on fermentation, right?
Yes.
So with when you're fermenting things, a little bit warmer in the home, as you guys know, we don't really get below about 78 degrees, and we are between 78 and 82 degrees depending on the time of day. So anything inside the house is going to ferment very, very rapidly. So we basically do all of our fermenting once we get into the spring, and when the AC kicks on, we know it's fermenting season. So we're here getting towards the end of the fermenting season, so we're really focused on everything, and wine is basically almost wrapping up, right? Yeah. So we finished our last primary fermentations. But one of the challenges with wine is it's easy to find a big bucket to do your primary fermentation. It's easy to find secondary fermenters in 1 gallon and up, usually 1, 3, 6, and about 6.5, 7 gallons. The challenge is when you go to do your secondaries, you always wind up with a little bit of extra, and usually it doesn't taste all that good because it's still fermenting.
Yeah.
So it's very, it's a real strong bread. It's yeasty flavor, so not very appetizing. But we did find, which was nice, is we found these caps to go onto a quart size fermenter. It has a gasket on the inside, so it seals completely. Goes on a wide mouth mason jar, and then it comes with standard airlocks, which we use all the time. This guy goes here, and now all of a sudden you have a quart size airlocked vessel, and this is perfect for that little bit of extra wine that's sitting there that you don't want to lose because you got a few cups of wine in there, right?
Yeah, we always end up having that, and then we stick it in the fridge and try to cold crash it, and it never turns out as good.
Right.
So this was perfect for us to find because the other airlocks that we use for our fermenting, like veggies and stuff, is different from this.
Right.
So it worked out really good.
Yep. So seals really nice and tight, and which was nice. I didn't even realize the gasket was in there until I went to seal it. And I think was it our apple wine that we wound up with 1 quart left. So we were able to save that. So hey, a few more glasses of wine.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So yeah, item of the day, this is in our Amazon shop. If you guys ever go there, we have idea lists, and this is under fermenting. So that's there. So I know one of the things that we had somebody ask a long time ago was a list of tools that we would recommend to folks. And I think this will be a good format to do each one, talk about it briefly each week so you guys kind of see it. It'll be in season. So we get into pruning season, you guys will see all the pruning gear. But that'll give you guys an idea of some of our favorite things. The vast majority of which, in fact, I think everything in the shop we own. We either own currently or have owned in the past. So only a couple of exceptions there. So it's a good one.
Yeah.
So speaking of wine, we got to share. This is the wine of today. So we've had this one before. Which one is this?
This is the Flame. So Flame grape.
Flame grape,
which is a table grape, not a wine grape.
Right. Well, one of the things we've noticed, this is from 2022. So almost. Oh shit. Okay.
Sorry.
Well,
you were talking.
Yeah, you get with it. But one of the things we notice about the flame grapes is they are a good table grape. They grow fantastic for us here in Arizona. If I was going to suggest a single grape, the flame grape would be it. Good fresh eating, very good fresh eating, sweet grape, and they do make a wonderful wine that doesn't have to be back sweetened. It has a little bit of natural sweetness.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that hits the spot.
That's good. That's good.
Okay. So I want to make sure that we're getting in any questions. Any questions?
Yep, we got some questions. So I have Kevin. Fertilizing time this weekend. Any fall pruning planned? Bigger topic, so it can wait, another time.
Sure.
If need to, but no, we can get to that.
We can. In fact, make sure you guys watch next week's vlog. Can I leave it at that? Is that legal? Can I do that on these? Just say, hey, make sure you guys tune in next week. So we just filmed a pruning session this morning. We talked about pruning last week, and I had mentioned that we don't do summer pruning. There is an exception. So I do want to share that with you guys next week, though. So sneak peek would be, we talked about the fact that trees, you shouldn't be pruning trees, generally speaking. This is not a tree. How about that?
Any guesses?
Any guesses?
And then fertilizing, yes, fertilizing technically starts tomorrow. So we'll see how much fertilizing I get done this next week.
I like how you clarified I get done.
I know.
Hey, is Gayla going to come over and help you with this fertilizing session?
I'm sure she will. We kind of took the summer off just because it's so dang hot and I don't want to be outside. So it just kind of depends on when it cools down enough to come back out.
So Gayla, if you're watching, Lori needs some help. So yeah,
we're ready to fertilize.
We're ready to fertilize. Yeah, it's definitely fertilizing season, and we will get started here in the next week. We try to finish that up before the end of September. If it goes into October, guys, you're fine. It doesn't really matter. All of this fertilizing, if you guys remember, you're fertilizing now for bud break. If you want to think about it that way. So as long as you get that done 60 to 90 days out, we're a little more than that. So as long as you do that before bud break, well before bud break, I'd say 60 days before that, you're fine for that fall fertilizing. So, and we figured it out this morning. One round of pigs should get us through an entire year of fertilizing the majority of our trees.
Yeah.
Right. So we compost that down, and we'll be hopefully finishing up that pile from last year. So it's had a chance to get all settled for the last 6 to 8 months, which is perfect.
Yeah, and
great.
just in time to start
going again.
Posting the next round.
We got a lot of them out there, and they're pooping a lot.
All right. So question, Serena, if you could only grow one fruit or vegetable and have to buy everything else from the store, which would you choose and why? Okay.
So to clarify, we're talking about fruits and veggies, not meat. I will never buy meat I can't say never. If I have it my way, we will never buy meat from the grocery store again for multiple reasons. You guys know those. But so back to fruits and vegetables. Okay, I'm going to pick mine, and then you pick yours. Deal? You have to buy everything else.
Okay.
Okay, real easy on this one. Okay, Everbearing mulberry.
Oh, that's what I was going to say.
Too bad, already took it. You got to choose another one. No, you can't choose what I chose. It's like Family Feud.
Then I get to pick the vegetable.
Okay, you do the okay. I'm not done yet. Hold on. I'm going to explain why.
Oh, okay.
I got to explain why. Okay. So my Everbearing mulberry is because the only fruit that we consume year round, and remember, we're really more keto, so we're not eating a tremendous amount of fruit, at least not gob tons of it. So it goes into our smoothie. So we do a smoothie every morning that is loaded with a lot of things. One of these days, we need to share that recipe because there's a lot of good nutrition in there. But that Everbearing mulberry is in there along with peaches. Now, I wouldn't choose peaches only because You get a lot of production, and I prefer the mulberries. So that's still my favorite out of those two. Okay, I don't get to choose a veggie, so go ahead. But I know what you're going to choose. What if I say you can't choose something that's technically a fruit? Okay, go ahead.
No, so my veggie would be the zucchini.
I know. Do you remember which kind?
The Black Beauty.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. You get it then. If you didn't remember the variety, I wasn't going to let you take it.
Yeah, no, because you can cook that so many different ways. We use that for everything. We ferment it, we, saute it, you can do, strips and grill it. You can spiral it to do, as a pasta. So yeah.
Yep. That very low carbohydrates.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's so versatile. And
Yeah.
and I agree with you. I love it spiralized because I think that might be my favorite way of eating it.
Yeah,
honestly.
because then you can do it with Alfredo, or you can do it with any
so good
type
with
of like
Alfredo.
sauces, just garlic and Parmesan and butter and.
Yeah, that was going to be mine, but I
knew
knew
it was
you were
going to.
I know. Yeah, that's why you tried to fight me for it and you won.
Because
But
we
that's
both
okay.
have the same ones.
We do. So that was
Yeah.
my favorite, but I'm going to stretch it out a little bit because this is actually something that I eat all the time, and you know what it is. Tapari beans. So, and cowpeas are okay too, but I really love the tapari beans because you guys know they grow wonderfully for us here. It is it's a native bean for us here in the Sonoran Desert, and it does fantastic. So the brown one I think we found is probably the most productive, and it also reseeds well. If you guys look at the thumbnail for today, that's actually our brown tapari beans that have basically completely taken over that bed. They've grown all over the cages we had in there for our tomatillos. It kind of reminds me like, if you come back 1,000 years from now and you see everything grow, all the vines growing all over all the houses, tapari beans would be all over ours.
Yeah.
Because it would go all over it. But yeah, tapari beans, I have beans 5 days a week. So that's one of my rare carbohydrates, and obviously a lot of fiber in those, and it's one of my main fiber sources for the week.
Yeah.
So, yep, I like it. Got it. Can't beat a pot of beans.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what I would say for the fruit because I was thinking the everbeer and mulberry also, but I may say like one of the wine grapes just because I enjoy making and drinking wine.
You really enjoy drinking wine. Let's be fair, right? You make wine because it's you're looking for the outcome.
Yeah.
So, but I agree.
Exactly.
I agree.
Okay.
All right. What else we got?
We got.
If you guys can give us a thumbs up, that would help out a lot. So, and thank you for you guys that are.
So we have, I'm assuming this is probably Sarah. Think I can grow jujube from seed. I bought some to try and I like them a lot. And I figure since I have 20 now, I can plant the seeds maybe.
Yes. So the only thing with that is a lot of the jujubes are grown on rootstocks. I don't know that you'll get the same variety, but either way, I say go for it. So I know the seeds are viable. So it's definitely something that you can do. And hey, you get your own jujube tree. And I'll tell you what, it will do fantastic. I think the only thing I'm not sure about is planting that. I'd probably plant that in the spring, only because they really love the heat and they can't stand the cold. They're one of the first trees that go dormant. So I don't know how well it would do going into the fall, because we're not far from fall. And guys, we're not far from fall.
No.
FYI, in case you didn't realize that tomorrow is September.
So start thinking about fall planting.
Yeah, I was thinking about dove hunting personally. So,
Oh.
yeah, but anyways.
Do you have any experience growing muscadine grape?
No, we have not grown muscadine grapes, and the muscadine. So we have not grown those. I know that those are very popular in the South, and my understanding is they need some humidity. And we can grow the European grapes perfectly here. They do fantastic for us here. So a lot of times in the South, they don't do as well. They have a lot of struggle with different types of mold and fungus. So here we get plenty of chill hours for those, and they do really, really well in our rocky, hard soils, and they love our weather. So so we always grow just European varieties. So I haven't tried it.
So Carol was asking about the flame
Hey,
grapes
Carol.
as far as the color, and wonder if you could make a port wine from it.
Sure. I think either way, you can make a port wine from almost anything. You need a high alcohol content and a high sugar content. So you need that combination, and technically you can turn anything into a port wine. So yeah, you could. I think for me, when I think of port, I think of a dark red. So typically when we're doing our sweet wines or our port wines or sherries, it's typically a red wine. So that's typically the route we'll go. And then the flame, It's actually even whiter than this now. We stopped putting the skins in there. We learned that the skins are not all that good in the wine. They a little bit too much bitterness that they put in the wine. So, but you definitely could. And I think we're up to about 16-17% alcohol here. What I would probably do for a port is I'd probably add some brandy to that and raise the alcohol content up a bit, and then back sweeten it before you bottle. So you'd have to do some extra steps in there to make sure you're not going to pop any corks. But you could still do it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Short answer is, well, it's here. I might as well have a drink because it's here.
It's right there. Mm-hmm. I got Mars. Hey, Mars.
Hey, Mars.
What's the drink of the day today?
Yes. Mars, we shared that a bit earlier, but that is our flame wine. So we've had this one before. We've got a couple wines that we'll be doing with you guys here over the next few weeks that we have not popped the cork yet from last year. We have a reserve wine, which is a blend that we're going to have to try with you guys. And then we did do a couple of wines that we didn't back sweeten at all. Mm-hmm. So we're looking forward to trying those. But yeah, flame wine today. All right.
Should I buy land around your corner of the valley or at the opposite end, like around Santan? Any inherited land, climate, government considerations? Thank you.
Okay, so as far as government considerations, as long as you're outside of a city, it'll pretty much be the same unless you're down in Pinal County. But if you're in if you're in Pinal County, my understanding is from a homesteading standpoint, you're not going to have any additional regulations that we wouldn't have, and you might have fewer. But so either way, you'd be fine. You guys have seen it. We can do pretty much anything here within reason. But I think either side of town would be fine, honestly.
Yeah, I don't know that side of town enough, but I know it's growing like crazy out there, and which we are too. So
we are, and we'll be surrounded by homes, guys. We just all of the lots to the west of us they're going to be starting construction, which is great because they're going to be paving half of our road, which is good and bad, I suppose. But from you guys that come out and visit us, it'll help.
Yeah.
But I think either side would be fine. I haven't heard of any water issues in the southeast side of the valley, so between Mesa, Gilbert, and Tucson. And you have a lot of old farmland out there. So, and I know there's even water rights on some of those parcels. We were just down there picking up pigs for the last couple weeks, and I can tell you, it seems like they get a bit more weather than we do. So I think they get a bit more water than we do here. Mm-hmm. The advantage that we have is we have the Hassayampa River that runs, as you guys may or may not know, it runs underground year round. And so one of the reasons we have such a wonderful aquifer here and don't really worry about water is that Hassayampa River. So, I'm looking at, you can't see it because it's behind you, but I'm looking at rain clouds now. There's rain almost every day in Wickenburg and just beyond. And all that is just filling that aquifer, constantly. So, but I think to answer your question, I think either one's fine. One other caveat, one of the challenges out here is Luke Air Force Base. And we talked about this in a video we posted about buying land in Arizona. We got burned on that with one of the first properties we bought in the West Valley. And, Luke Air Force Base has some very strict building restrictions, which is funny because of all of those distribution centers that apparently are fine. But anyways, but there could be some issues there in the Northwest. And that's where we have issues around us here, which helps to not make Whitman so dense. And I think that'll slow a lot of that growth here because of that. There's big swaths of Whitman you can't build in at all.
Yeah.
So, yeah, good question.
Do you ever dehydrate your spiralized zucchini?
No, we haven't dehydrated. We haven't. So we've frozen it. So yeah. So
we'd shred it, shred it all, and froze that to make.
We're still working on
zucchini bread and stuff like that.
Is it last year or the year before?
Yeah, I still have a lot in the freezer because we stopped making zucchini bread all the time.
Yeah. So, but it freezes. Haven't tried to dehydrate it. We're trying.
Have not. Let us know if you try it.
Yeah, one of the things that we were planning out our seeds today. So working on a couple things. We'll be sharing that with you guys here shortly. But we'll be getting seeds into pots or direct seeding. We got squash. We're a little bit late on some squash that we're going to need to get into the ground tomorrow. Yeah. So we're working on that now. It's planting season, guys. It's planting season. Yeah. All right. What else we got?
What was the highlight moment of the week for each of you?
Yes. Well, it was combined. So we had talked about had a consultation last weekend with a couple here in Whitman, and that was on a homesteading. basically.
Yeah, so
livestock
just
focused.
bought brand new house property and blank slate, and wanted our help to decide what and where, to do all their stuff. So
Yep. It was
it's
interesting.
always exciting.
It was. And I think one of the things that really brought to my attention, we're going to be doing for you guys here over the next, over our livestock season, which starts now, is share a lot more of what's different here. We've got some drastically different things that we have to do here in Arizona in order to effectively do livestock. And it's unique, and we're going to need to share that. So we realized that going through there, we didn't have very good resources from us that are Arizona desert specific when it comes to livestock specifically. So, yeah. What else we got? And don't worry, guys, we are going to get on soil that, I think, is that our next topic here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Have you ever thought of dessert wines, fortified wines, or a port wine? So you briefly had already touched on the port wine.
Right. So we've actually made 2 sherries, which are similar to that. Not quite the same, but similar. Technically, sherry has to come from a specific area. I think it's in France or Italy. But you can still make sherry out of almost everything. Same thing with your port wines. The challenge is you got to make sure that you're using the right yeast, because it needs to be able to get high enough alcohol content so that you're not doing so much fortification. If you can't get up to 16, 17, or even 18% alcohol, and there's only a handful of champagne yeast that'll survive it. If you can't get up that high, you're just putting too much brandy in it. And all of a sudden, you're just drinking brandy. So, but we have, and you can use just about anything. I think any of them will do well. If you're going to do that, the Premier Cuvée and the Premier Blanc from Red Star are both fantastic yeasts for that. They ferment very quickly, especially in warm temperatures. They do great in warm temperatures, which is good for all of us out here. And they have a very, very high alcohol tolerance. So they can get up there into the 16, 17, even 18% very easily. And so I would do that, which we've done in the past. Mm-hmm. And then we go back and fortify. We fortify and back sweeten at bottling. So, and then we still do a few additional amendments in there to make sure that we're not going to get any corks popping, because you may still have some yeast that still survive that. Even though if you fortify correctly, you shouldn't have a problem. But we always wind up doing that. So, but yeah, any of them will work. And, I think personally, at some point in time, we may need to do a small batch with mulberry, because I think a mulberry port would be amazing. Yeah. It would just be extremely dangerous.
Yeah, the mulberry wine is so good.
Because you're basically drinking this wonderful juice.
Yeah.
So,
all right, so we have a birthday out there.
What?
We have Trey's 9th birthday.
Trey, you're 9? Oh my goodness. Last year, single digits. 9. Oh my. So let's see. Are you in 3rd grade? Going into 3rd grade? I think, is it 9 o'clock third or 9 years old, 3rd grade? You'll have to let me know, because you're probably back in school. And if I remember correctly, you're in 3rd grade. But who knows? Maybe 4th.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Trey.
birthday. Happy birthday. That's so awesome.
Were the websites that you got some trees, vines at Grow Organic and One Green World?
Yes, we've gotten trees from both of them and have done well. We did, I think we had sent, actually we listed these out. Somebody had asked about that earlier. Is that Pam? I'm looking at the screen and I see a bright turquoise. Is that Pam?
Probably.
Pam, thank you for the super chat.
I haven't gotten down that far.
Aw.
Yes.
Pam, you are the best. You're the greatest.
Thanks,
Thank you, Pam. Aw. So, but yeah, happy birthday. That's so cool.
Yep, that's cool.
Yeah.
We were on the Grow
Oh,
Organic.
I'm still on the happy birthday. I'm just excited for was it Trey?
Trey,
yeah, Trey. Yeah, so Grow Organic's a good one. Planting Justice is another good one. A couple of, there's 2 in particular that we've had a lot of really good success with over the years in both the old farm and the new one. Rain Tree Nursery, they've got some very unique varieties on there. We've done well with Rain Tree. And Stark Brothers.
Yeah.
I think Stark Brothers is probably the first one that we found and have done well. Both of those are great options. Grow Organic, I know you're getting into the fall season, so now is the time to be looking for trees, because they have all of their bare root trees that they're going to be selling here over the wintertime. And groworganic.com does a great job with those. So, yeah, those are good options.
Flame Wine Vintage, which year?
Yes. So this is 2022. Yep. So we're almost done with this one. Well, It's here. I might as well go ahead and.
Will you be having that with today's cheat meal?
Yes. Probably.
Maybe.
Either that or we have some peach.
We have a peach one open. We'll be making some blackberry lemon martinis after the call.
Yeah, that's hard to beat. Yeah.
That's our actual cocktail for the night is that.
Yeah, this is the pre-happy hour with you guys.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Okay.
We all
Sarah
good?
said that
Okay.
she feels like you pronounce Pinell County.
Pinell, yeah.
That's coming to them.
Good?
Can you say the name of the zucchini variety again? As a fellow ketogenic eater, I'm always looking for good ads.
Sweet, yeah. Andrew, the Black
That's
Beauty.
Sarah. I'm assuming it's Sarah.
I can't tell.
Well, it says Andrew, but she's on his Google.
Oh, okay.
Sign on.
So, yeah, Sarah, yeah, that's right. I remember talking about that. So, yeah, Sarah, the Black Beauty squash is fantastic. Any of them will be fine because they're all low carb. So you get any of those zucchini type squashes, and there are several different varieties that we've grown. The Costata Romanescu was a good one too, but I like the Black Beauty a little bit better. So
yeah,
and it's a real consistent producer. So you can actually plant them kind of now. We're going to be seeding a couple in pots and putting them in the ground here in about 6 weeks, 4 to 6 weeks. So you can get those in this season. It's a real short growing season. Spring's a little better because you get multiple crops on each one of those bushes. It's a bush, but it basically flops down and starts growing out sideways. So, and continues to put on fruit pretty much all spring. So you can also do it in the spring. Great options though. Mm-hmm. That one's my favorite. All right. So we on to soil?
You can go ahead and do the question.
Topic of the day, question of the day. This one actually came in from Audrey. Mm-hmm. So Audrey asked this question. I don't know whether she's here or not, but she's a good friend of the farm. We actually did a consultation on her property a couple years ago. Mm-hmm. It's been a while. So she's in North Phoenix, Cave Creek, Carefree kind of area to give you an idea of kind of where she's at. I don't remember. Is she on an acre? I think she's on like a...
I don't know if it's quite an acre. I'm not sure.
If not, it's a pretty big parcel. She's got a lot of fruit trees that she's doing there. And she's got some raised beds that she's putting in. She made the right choice going 3 blocks high. If I had to do it again, we talked about that. 3 blocks really is key. I know there's a lot of options when it comes to the material. I'm going to get off topic a little bit only because I want to kind of give the reason why we're doing the types of soils we are. And part of that is the structure. So she's doing the same thing. She's using your 8 by 16 by 16. I think it's 8, 16, 16. No, 8, 8, 16. Either way. So it's your standard fence block, the wider fence blocks. Those are what we use for our raised beds. They do great because you don't have to mortar them in. They're heavy enough. They hold down. And as long as you level correctly on the base, they stack nice and straight. Also, they're going to last longer than anybody on this podcast because they last a very, very long time, decades and decades. So that's what she's using as well. Only 3 high, so she's 8, 16, 20. So she's about 2 to 2.5 feet off the ground. And she's asking what to fill that bed with. And so we talked a little bit about different things. We had started with a layer of cardboard. We always put hardware cloth at the bottom to keep the ground squirrels from digging and tunneling up underneath the bottom. And then the question was, what do you fill those beds with? So what we filled it with was a mixture, a sandy loam mixture that we got from Pioneer Landscape and Rock. I know they've got the location here in Surprise. I don't know where else they might be, but we got that from them. And if you guys look at some of our videos, we talked about this particular soil, but it's basically a combination of sand, sandy loams, it makes sense, but sand, native soil, so Arizona hard, nasty native soil, and a completely dead compost, not living compost, but it was those 3. So it's about a third of each. Now, when we got that, number one, it's fairly inexpensive because it's coming from a rock and landscape company. You're not buying it from, a fancy schmancy place that sells, soils. It's not organic. So, that's not something we were concerned about up front. But it's the biggest thing about it is it has almost an ideal texture because we're looking at the texture of the soil when we're talking about our raised beds. So we went back and filled those a little bit more than halfway, and then we took some of the Kellogg's raised bed soil and we amended that with that for the first growing season. And then because we were going into the fall, we started with daikon radish, and we grew daikon radish as the first crop. And then we went back, cut the daikon radish heads off, planted it heavy, planted all those, cut all the heads off in the spring, and then we let those die back in the spring. And we've got some wonderful worm activity in those beds now, and a lot of good microbiology that's in those beds. And so it, again, it's an inexpensive soil to fill large beds in planters, and it's usually easy to find. And one of the things Audrey had found I don't remember who the supplier was, but she found one, I think, on that side of town, Central Phoenix, that has something similar. So it's not all that uncommon. So again, key with that is you want to have the right texture. We have seen with a lot of things like our beans, even just the beans, the Tupari beans that we're growing in the beds go crazy. And we planted Tupari beans in regular soil, even partially amended soil in the berry cane patch. Meh, they're growing nothing like it. Same thing, we've grown squash in the berry cane patch, which is basically slightly amended our soil. And then again, nothing like how they grow in our beds.
Yeah.
So, and then also root crops. Carrots go all the way down, so they easily drill through that. So you get your root crops, beets, same thing. Our onions do fantastic. Our garlic, same thing. They're very easy to harvest. So it is a very good base that you're going to have to amend. And again, grow things in it and keep roots in the ground, and you'll build that soil biology in that soil. And it's a good way of doing it. Now, of course, we always make sure that we top that with wood chips because you want to hold moisture in there. One of the things about sand is the moisture will roll through that, so it's not going to hold moisture quite as well as our soil can, but at the same time, it's not compacted, which is part of the reason why our soil can basically hold some moisture. And then it still has a third of our soil, so you still have some clay in there from our soil, and then the compost just, again, gives it a little bit more structure, and not a whole, it's dead, so you're not going to get much, you're not getting any beneficial microbiology in that one. Okay, so if you don't have access to that, or you're wanting a different option, the Arizona Worm Farm, more of a boutique, a little more expensive, a lot more expensive, but they do sell soil there as well, and I would highly recommend them as well. So that's another great option if you want to have something that has potentially, not always, I've seen some soil from them that didn't necessarily look all that alive to me, but I think it's timing, like when you buy it, time of year. But they do have a good option as far as raised bed mix. One thing I will tell you that we learned the hard way, the very first beds we planted, I think it was the 2009-ish, maybe 2010, is we took the Kellogg's garden soil and made raised beds with just that. Yeah, that was a mistake. So yeah, that's not going to cut it. It doesn't have enough structure to hold things in place, and it just did not do well at all. So need a little better structure than I think that gives you, at least in my experience. So, and then of course you make your own sand, soil. So if you're going to amend ground, I would add some sand, compost if you got it. If not, use one of those amendments we were just talking about. Even that Kellogg's garden soil would work, or their amend product, or even potting soil. Mix that in about a third in with your native soil. You're basically doing the exact same thing with sand, compost or amendment, and then native soil. So you could do that as well and make your own raised beds. The challenge will be you got nothing underneath there, and those wonderful little demons that like to run around and dig. Yes. They will find your veggies.
Yeah.
So there we go.
When is it time for the next batch of chickens? I've not received an email.
Yes. So we have them coming. We just looked at that this morning.
Yeah, we have them coming the second week of September, and we plan to process the second Saturday in November. So we have not sent out an email. We won't do that until a little bit closer to, but Pam, you can always email me, and I can make sure I get you on my waiting list.
For sure.
But that is our plan. It just depends on probably how much we sell through them if I even send an email out to everybody, because it's spring. I don't think we did, because we ended up basically selling.
We didn't bring enough in.
Yeah.
So yeah, those will be here second week. Well, one of the reasons we don't send it out is we want to make sure we get all of our chicks. So because we don't know until they're here that, number one, they're here. when they're supposed to be, and they're alive.
They're alive, yeah.
This time of year, that's not normally an issue. But yeah, and we did get a lot more. We max out at about 100. Well, we can get about 100 to 120 chickens in the tractors on the pasture in any given season, and so we've got enough to, with a few losses, we should be able to hit that without a problem.
Yeah.
Soon.
How many push-ups and sit-ups do you both max out at?
Oh my goodness!
I don't do them, so I couldn't tell you.
I'm not sure on sit-ups. I don't do sit-ups. I don't really do push-ups. I do planks, and then I do bench presses and stuff. I don't know. I'm gonna have to test that out. Not right this moment, but I don't know. A few. I would imagine probably at least a couple dozen for me. I don't know about you. It depends. If you did the official ones, if you wouldn't do the girly ones.
Oh my goodness, I'm not even going there.
I think if you did the girly ones, you would knock out a bunch of them. More than you realize.
Maybe.
You're pretty buff.
I'm just kidding. You guys don't want to see that.
I do.
Oh, any 30, 60, 90-day goals? If so, may I ask what they are?
Okay, so let's see. 30 days, that gets us into the end of September. Mm-hmm. So that's our anniversary. So my goal there is to make sure, number one, I remember, and number two, we celebrate it somehow this year because we can. That's my 30. 60 would be, yes.
I'm like, oh, wow. I wasn't going there at all.
I know. So 60 days would be, we're getting right up into probably farm tour and processing. So that'd be 60. And then 90 puts us into December, right? That's a month off. Woohoo! We'll have to see if we take a month off for this. I don't know if we'll take a month off the podcast or not.
Yeah.
So that's mine. Yours are probably similar.
30 days is to find the dogs that I want to bring onto the property this fall because I have been searching and have not found what I want yet.
For sure. Yep.
And then obviously, 60 would be the events that we have. We literally have farm tour on my birthday this year, and then we have 2 weeks off, and then we do our chicken processing. The next week we do our neighbor's chicken processing, and then the next week we do turkey processing. So
I need a drink.
3 processing dates in 3 weeks in a row, so all back to back.
Yeah.
And then 90, my mind doesn't even think that far in advance.
No, I'm surprised you can go that far in advance.
I know.
If it's more than an hour.
I can't. I am literally I am in the moment all the time, you guys. All the time.
Yep, you are.
In the moment.
In the moment.
Yeah. I have seen many channels growing zucchini vertically. Have you ever tried?
Well, so the zucchini that we grow more like a bush. So the Black Beauty is more like a bush. I suppose you could grow kind of the stalk that it grows up on a trellis, but it's awfully heavy. We'll have to see. I know we are going to be planting some other squashes that we are going to be growing up a trellis. So stay tuned because we're going to be planting some out tomorrow in the berry cane patch. After we mend the soil, like we talked about here today.
Just because nothing else.
Just because it's not growing as well over there. But, so yeah, we're following our own advice. But we will be growing on trellises. Yeah. So we've got butternut squash, spaghetti squash. I don't remember whether
they're some of those, squashes.
Yeah, and then pumpkin. Mm-hmm. So I think we're a little late for pumpkin because we're a little late. But we're going to try it anyway.
Yeah. I have my prime arc berry in a big pot. Did I make a mistake?
No, not at all. So it will do just fine. Just remember when you're talking about blackberries is they send out runners, right? So they have rhizomes that go underneath the ground. And that's how they replenish themselves because you lose your canes after a year to 2 years. All the canes are dead and you have to cut those out and you have new canes that replace them. So you just need enough space so those new canes can come up, but you should be fine. Just make sure you're pruning. So take out the old stuff. If you have space in the ground, you still can plant it in the ground. So if you've got a spot, I would put it in the ground only because it's going to be able to grow a little bit easier because of, again, the way it has to essentially stay alive by sending up new shoots, new canes constantly.
And if you have a spot in the ground that you can transplant that to, that's totally fine to transplant it to the ground. You don't have to now keep it in the pot. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
When's the next farm tour, like the farm visit? How did the hog sales go? And then other meat offerings? Is it once a year?
Okay, so those are just a few questions. Keep me on track.
Okay, start with the first one. When is the next farm visit?
Yes, so farm tour is going to be probably October. So is what we're shooting
Saturday, October 26th is what we're shooting for.
Right. So we haven't announced it officially because that does depend on getting broiler chickens here. We want to have broilers here. because that's one of the discussions that we always have with folks, because a lot of questions. So that's that. What was the next question?
How did the hog sales go?
Good. So we have 20 again this year. We wanted 12 to 15, and we have 20 again.
3 years in a row now.
Yeah. So, which is way more than we, I think, in our minds want to do. And they're real easy right now. But man, when they get up there to that, toddler teenage stage, when they're the size of a teenager, still acting like a toddler and destroying everything. Yeah. 20's a lot.
Yeah.
20's a lot.
So it went really good.
Yeah, it went good.
And then other meat offerings.
Yes. So we have the chickens, broiler chickens coming. So what we do is the broiler chickens, we kind of really just sell out to everybody that already buys them from us, because we don't really want to do more than that. It's just a lot of work. The turkeys, we don't really technically sell out of those each season, but we usually wind up selling about the same number each season. And those we do pre-sales in February so we know we have to order them. We have to order them way in advance. So we order them end of February, beginning of March for delivery in July. That's how many. They don't have a lot of turkey poults available, and all the farmers all are growing them at the same time. We're all getting delivery in July. So, well, for the most part. So we do pre-orders for that in February, and then we do pre-orders for the pigs, the pork. Usually it's in July. So end of June, beginning of July, and we bring those in beginning of August, because that allows us timing-wise to do well. Keep the small guys handle the heat just fine. Wallow doesn't need to be very big, and then as they get bigger, they don't need a wallow, and they handle the cold a bit better. Mm-hmm. So we finish those in February and March. And then we do our beef program. So we got a friend of ours that finishes beef for us that we offer to our customers, that we do year round. We haven't put that up yet because sales guys, I don't know if you've seen, but there is actually a cattle shortage in the United States right now. And our costs on beef have gone up over 50% in the last couple of years, and 15 to 20% of that is in the last 6 months. So, I mean, we weren't even sure if we were going to do it, only because it's been hard to find cattle. We buy live cattle, and then we offer that everything to folks through our program, and it's been hard to find live cattle. So it's been a struggle, but we're going to post that here pretty shortly. That one we usually have ongoing, but I don't know whether we'll be able to fulfill it all. It'll be based on whether or not we can find cattle.
Yeah.
That we can get a hold of ourselves.
So if you're interested in chicken, you can email me, because I may not send an email out this year, or we may not send an email out this year. And then be sure you're on our customer email list, which you can join through our website if you're not already. And that's how we announce when we have the turkey pre-order and the pig pre-order.
You are a saleswoman. Look at that.
Woo. I wanted to make sure I got that answer.
That was good.
See how my answers are here and his are like this?
Not a salesman. I'm the marketing guy. I like to tell stories.
Okay.
What else we got?
Question. I purchased.
And hey, before I forget, guys, give us a thumbs up. If you guys are there, if you can give us a thumbs up, that would be great. Because we still got another 10 minutes or so. Yep. Get a few more folks here. Helps us out.
We have several moringa at our home in Pakistan. They grow easily here. I know you grew these at your farm. Please let us know how you plan to process moringa once they are established into big trees. Sure.
So we can definitely do that. Now, most of our trees will not be big. And one of the reasons is our freezing temperatures in the wintertime. We have to cut them way back down, to the 2 to 3 foot level, because we have to cover them completely for our winters. So they'll never really actually get all that big. Not too much bigger than they are now. So the stumps will continue to get bigger and bigger. But because we prune throughout the season, they'll never be more than about 8 feet tall or so, 6 to 8 feet tall. So, but one of the biggest things that we learned last year is pruning periodically during the growing season. And we did that earlier this year. We cut them back. They grew about 2 to 3 feet. We cut them back down to about a foot of new growth, and they've come back now to about 2 to 3 feet. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing, is actually taking multiple cuttings, keep it down so that you can harvest them further down on the ground. And then we do basically pollard them. Pollard, and that is basically cutting them down to a stump about 2 to 3 feet high, and then the new growth is reachable from there. And of course, for us, we can protect the trunk.
And for processing those, we actually collect the leaves and dry them, and we powder that. So we powder all the leaves to have a moringa green powder that we use in our smoothies.
We talked about our loaded smoothies a bit earlier, and that is one of the ingredients.
Yep.
But actually, a lot of the things in our smoothie each morning are from the farm, or we made it because we do the kefir. So the milk's not ours, at least not yet. But the kefir we make, and the peaches, the mulberries, and the moringa powder are all ours. Yeah.
I purchased a raised bed made of wood that has wheels. Do I need to insulate it on the inside so the plant roots won't burn?
Okay.
It's for veggies.
Right. So for me, we talked briefly earlier. I don't know whether or not you were here, but we talked about one of the reasons we use block is actually for that insulation. And there's I don't know the right way to put this, but we get the question all the time about why we use block and that it's too hot. And I walk folks through that, and you realize that that's insulation. So we think of concrete on the ground and how hot that is, but that's insulation. So it's insulating the roots from the outside environment. So to your question, if you have wood, two things you're going to find. Number one, water will evaporate very quickly next to the wood. We don't get that as much with the block. So the block, again, because of insulation, holds that water in a little bit better, and you will get some evaporation more often and more of it with the wood. Now, whether you want to insulate that or not, I don't know. Honestly, I haven't tried to do that. And I don't know what you would use for insulation. I suppose you'd have to put it on the outside. So it may not be all that attractive. And a wooden, I'm sure it looks beautiful because wood is beautiful.
Yeah.
But, and actually, if you guys go to actually my personal Facebook page, if you go to my personal Facebook page, I posted something there that actually it's a picture of our very first raised bed.
Oh my goodness.
We were talking it's perfect timing too. That's why I posted it. But you'll look at our very first raised bed, and it was made out of wood. I think it was 2x8 or 2x6, a regular 2x8, 2x6. And we filled it with that. I talked about it earlier. We filled it with the Kellogg's garden soil. I don't know that we ever got anything out of there, honestly. Put it in the wrong spot. It was up against the house, which was north facing. It got no sun, basically, ever, except in the middle of the summer. So a lot of mistakes that we made there, but it was made out of wood. It was thicker. I don't know how thick that the one that you have now is, but yeah, you may have to do something with it. I would try it first, though. Grow something in it. See how it does. You may find that you're okay.
I'm not sure what the Sheltie is.
Oh.
Not sure what that is. Okay. So it is 2:52. So we're getting close to time. We are going to do a speed round of questions because there's a lot of them on here.
Oh, no. Okay. Did we get to everything on our agenda?
So the only thing on our agenda that we didn't really get to, the extra questions we can save till next week. But we kind of wanted to do like a did you know? So like what we learned this week.
So let's take that to next week.
Okay.
Since I've been yapping too much.
Okay.
So what did we not get to on our agenda so everybody knows, and you guys can send us emails and stuff. We want to make sure this show is for you guys. We want to make sure that we're addressing things and doing what you guys want us to.
So we made an agenda that we wanted to try to go through each week, and we may not cover all of the items, but what we can. So we're going to start off with highlight of the week. Then we'll go to like our item of the week, whether it be from Amazon or somewhere else. Topic question of the week, and then a did you know or what we learned. If we have something that we can do taste testing on.
This is where we're going to do our taste testing from now on.
And then a shout out section if we have anything that or anybody that we need to shout out. And then other questions that were emailed or sent in during the week that we wanted to share with you guys.
So the way I see this is our show needs to be 2 hours long.
Oh my goodness. I know it's hard to get everything because I feel like we're cutting people off at the end to try to get the hour.
We usually have more folks here now than we do in the beginning.
Yep. So that's why we're going to do speed round here.
Hey, thumbs up for us, guys. Thumbs up for the jokers here on the front of the thing trying to get all these questions done.
So remember when you're answering.
If I have to speed round, I better slow myself down. Let me have a little bit of wine.
So while I read the question, let's see. Can you grow strawberries? I can't get my seeds to germinate. Florida Zone 10B. Any tips?
Oh, I would imagine Florida, they would be fine.
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly.
We've never tried them by seed. We've always bought.
Yeah, I would buy some starts.
Yeah.
We had your starts. Actually, it just died.
It just died, and I've had that thing over 2 years.
Yep, and it put on strawberries multiple times, so it was perennial. I would think you wouldn't have any issues. Southern California, what I can tell you is this. We lived in San Diego for several years, and I know it has to be fast. Okay, more alcohol. That'll slow me down. So, but we lived in San Diego for several years, and there was a huge strawberry patch there. And Zone 10, 10A, it was basically where I'm trying to think, not Vista, it was closer to the Oceanside. So, and there was a huge strawberry patch up there. They did fantastic. So I would imagine you're going to be fine. You might want to do starts, though. I think that'll be your best bet.
Yep. How are your bees doing? We tried catching a swarm, but it didn't work out this year. We're hopeful for next year.
I think they're doing fine. I don't know. Kyle hasn't been by for a couple months.
He hasn't. So he's supposed to be 100% responsible for them. I know that they are still, we have one hive back there still. And I know they are both, that it's still active because I've seen bees in it. He did have to remove one because they were too aggressive. And yeah.
But yeah, we still have that hive back there. So
yeah, it's still back there.
Haven't gotten any honey or anything.
No.
So we'll have to see. Kyle, I'm sure the weather's getting nice. Maybe we'll see Kyle back there again.
Yeah. What can you do if you have caliche layer? Will tree roots have any effect, if even over many years?
Yes. So the answer is yes, it will over the years. And because eventually the water, as long as you're watering it deep and infrequent, eventually the water and the roots, depending on the tree, will go down through the caliche layer. But as long as you have a good 12 inches or so, we have about 12 to 24 inches before we hit caliche here, and you guys see all the trees here. So again, we talked about mounding when you plant to get it further away from the caliche layer, and then watering and irrigating away from the tree to encourage outward root growth. We've got a shot. We do this during the farm tours. Actually, you know what? The goats ate like half of it. Anyways, when we pulled the, if you look at the videos where we had two different videos where we pulled trees. The last one was the guavas up front. You'll see that back early spring. And we showed you guys the root structure of those trees, and it was almost completely horizontal. Very little downward root growth, and even the ones that were only down about 12 inches. So if you do that, your fruit trees in particular don't necessarily need more than that, again, 12 to 24 inches before they hit that hard rock. But to answer your question, eventually, yes, the right tree will eventually punch through that with the correct watering. If you water it over and over, it softens that up over time, and it'll punch through.
Will you ever grow watermelons? Where do you think the best place for them to grow on your farm is?
Yes, we have tried them. We weren't successful, but I think it was the soil and planting time. Actually, we got one
We've
right
got
one.
a couple.
Yeah, we got a couple of them. So yeah, watermelons do fine. In fact, the West Valley, not right now, but they plant them in the spring. They harvest them in the summertime. There's still a lot of, where they're not doing distribution centers, there's still watermelon patches out there. So yeah, they'll do great here.
Yeah.
Yep, they'll do great.
What do you do with the dead canes of the berries? Leave them in the ground, dig them up?
So we prune those back. So we leave the roots in the ground. We cut the canes close to the surface, and then we chip the canes. So for the blackberries. Yeah.
What do you do with the gizzards and livers from the chickens you process?
Those go into, those we keep. Well, it depends. So we sometimes keep them. Gizzards are a real pain.
They're a pain to clean.
They're hard to clean. They take a lot of time. It really slows us down. And so we generally don't do them unless somebody asks for them. And even then we try not to do them, honestly. So we typically feed those to the pigs. So usually we've got pigs that time of year. And so the pigs will get the gizzards. All we need to do is open them up and get the rocks out, and then they'll eat the entire thing. The livers we'll probably start saving for the animals. So.
Yeah, we've done in the past, we've saved the livers, the hearts, and packaged them, sold them. So we had a lot of people that would buy those. I think the last round we didn't do because we just short on time. We just, we're busy, so we fed them to the animals. But right now, like our cats love the beef liver, and so...
raw.
Yeah.
Glad you finally stopped cooking that.
Usually the animals get them. When is the pre-order for beef? You did not go over that one.
Oh, right. So I think in the next week or two, we'll have the new beef program for next year because we had to figure out pricing and everything. I think we're eating a lot of the price increase. So on this one, just because we want to make sure we get beef out to everybody. And I think in the next week or two, we'll have that posted. So check out the website. We'll also send an email out to everybody with the specifics. So you'll see that as long as you're on our email list.
It's Pam.
Yes.
Pam,
It's Pam.
you can just email me.
Email Lori.
I have dates for next year already, so I can always get you on the schedule.
Yeah, she'll get you taken care of.
Yeah.
So.
Would you consider using subscriber-made music beats in future videos? I produce music and would love to supply you with some for free.
Oh, well, that would be fantastic.
Absolutely.
Hey, if you want to give us a theme song, that'd be great. We've got that one Tangerine Dreams we've been using for 7 years now.
Everybody just kind of like,
that would be really cool. Oh, man, that'd be great. Actually,
that's Mars. And so
Mars,
in the
that'd be really
beginning
cool.
of the videos, we usually kind of do more of a calm music, but then throughout the videos, depending on what project we're doing, we'll do more of like a mid or, upbeat or quick.
And you know what? I would love to, especially if that's what you do, I would love to give you a shout out down in the information section.
Yeah.
So the video details. That would be fantastic.
Yep.
Oh, man, I would love that.
Yep.
How cool is that? Thank you.
All right, Lori Wife says you can make a zucchini powder just like you do the moringa.
Oh. Mulberry leaves too. Somebody told us about mulberry leaves a few weeks ago. We need to do the mulberry leaves. I'll bet you could do the same thing with any of those leaves.
Okay. So that is Deb. I hope I
Email us.
remembered that correctly. Rob's wife.
Yep.
You'll have to get me that information.
Yes, please. How are we doing? Are we almost there? 3 o'clock.
I think we got to all the
Did we get here on
questions.
time?
Yes.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's shocking that I did. So if you guys can give us one last thumbs up, would really appreciate that because that helps us out not only today, even though it's done, definitely helps us in the future. We really enjoy interacting with you guys here. It's great because we get a lot of the same crowd each week and get to know you guys and understand kind of what you want and some of the questions that we always have. So it really helps us out. We really enjoy it. One thing I like to say is you guys, we obviously, how much we appreciate you, but we talk about the value of time and, the most valuable thing that we have here on the planet is time. You guys choose to spend that time with us. We see you guys here every week, which is fantastic. It's very encouraging to us. And, commenting on our YouTube videos, you guys know that we always love to comment back and talk to you guys there. We get a chance to spend this time with you guys here today. Facebook, Instagram, all that time that you guys spend with us, we don't take that for granted because time is a very, very limited and valuable thing. And you guys choose to spend it with us, and we don't take that for granted. So today has been the Desert Farmer Podcast. Today has been episode 30, sweetheart.
Crazy.
So this is episode 30. We've been doing these now for a couple years, but we do this every week at 2 p.m. Arizona time, and that is 5 o'clock Eastern right now, but not always, because Arizona doesn't change time. You guys can all do that nonsense, but we don't here in Arizona. So it's always 2 o'clock here in Arizona, so look that up on Google. Make sure you see us here too. Mm-hmm. So but we do this weekly on Saturdays at 2 o'clock. So join us next week at 2 o'clock. Oh, hey, one last thing before I forget. It's Labor Day for us here in the United States.
It is.
On Monday, so we got a long weekend.
It is.
And we will be celebrating Labor Day by laboring on the farm. So there's that. Maybe we'll do a little less on Monday. Either way, happy Labor Day, everybody. Thank you for being here with us. We'll hang out with you guys here in the comment section for another minute or two, and then we will see you next week. So just want to thank you for joining us today and remind you, if we can farm on the edge of nowhere,
So can you.
see you next week, guys.
Bye.
Bye.